All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Bird Rights Podcast. Today, we're going to be doing NBA news and just, talk about the NBA. This is our third NBA podcast, I believe, that we have on this channel. Yeah,
Fourth.
or it's our fourth, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah. I guess we can just hop right into it with NBA news, like we usually start with. So, first off, the absolute bomb of the week: Kyrie Irving has been traded to the Dallas Mavericks. I think this is the full trade: Kyrie Irving and Markieff Morris for Dorian Finney-Smith, Spencer Dinwiddie, an unprotected 2029 first, 2027, and 2029 seconds to Dallas or to Brooklyn. Sorry. Yeah, what are our initial thoughts on this absolute nuke that hit the NBA yesterday?
Yeah, I can go first. We'll obviously tackle this from a few angles here and then kind of go through the repercussions of all of it. But um I was surprised at how much Dallas gave up. Not that it's not some crazy haul. Like Rudy Gobert got 5 first-round picks in the offseason, so that kind of, comparatively, it's pretty surprising. But in this vacuum that the Nets are in, that Kyrie asked for a trade after having been a headache for the last 4 years and being unreliable for all this time, and everyone being hesitant to give him a contract, and Dallas not knowing if they're going to extend him. I didn't think they were going to get. I really didn't think Dallas was going to be willing to put Finney-Smith in the deal. I probably wouldn't have put Finney-Smith in the deal. I would have been willing to do something like Dinwiddie, Hardaway Jr.'s contract and a pick. But there's real stakes to the deal they made here with the potential of Kyrie leaving in just a few months, or the potential of extending Kyrie in just a few months and that backfiring, because that's just as big of a risk. But as far as just my initial reaction, I'll let you guys follow up with your initial reaction. But initially, my first thought was, I thought Brooklyn did really well given the circumstances, getting some solid pieces that can actually help them win, and a little bit of draft capital. And I thought I was pretty surprised, and it reeked of desperation from Dallas to make this move in the way they did with the pieces that they gave up.
Yeah, I definitely agree. We've heard a lot of the rumors. We knew Dallas was one of the teams that were trying to get after Kyrie Irving, like Fred VanVleet, just another player to put alongside Luka. And I don't know, like it does, like you said, it does kind of feel like there's some desperation going on there. I'm not a big fan of Luka and Kyrie together. I mean, sure, I think it could work. It's not exactly what I'd want though. And again, yeah, I feel after all of, like the news stories about Kyrie over like the last few years, like you said, they got an unprotected first, they got 2 second-round picks, and they got some quality pieces. I mean, we've seen what Dinwiddie can do. I mean, not like an amazing player, but he does what you want on the offensive end. And then yeah, they give up Dorian Finney-Smith too. They kind of gave some good like quality pieces and a good amount of capital. I think for Kyrie, such a volatile player in the league. I mean, it does kind of feel a little desperate from Dallas, just trying to get a big name to go alongside Luka, which is interesting because I wouldn't have expected this from Dallas. I might have expected it from another team that
Yeah.
was trying to get Kyrie.
Yeah, I think this has the potential to be the best sidekick for sure that Luka's played next to. If Kyrie stays on the court and hopefully can stay there, like, for the next couple of years, maybe it'd be really fun to watch from the NBA fan perspective. I think that's one of the most exciting parts about this deal is the potential of seeing these two guys next to each other. They're both so good with the ball in their hands. And honestly, Kyrie's developing a decent off-ball game that maybe he didn't have at one point, but the point still stands. I think that maybe Dallas overpaid a little bit for him. I don't know what I would have given up exactly if I was in their shoes and taking the move. If you think that maybe you can get Kyrie to stay because his options might be kind of limited around the league. If you think that you're one of the only viable suitors for him after this trade, then it might be worth the gamble. They did give up 2 decent players, but that were under contract for the nature. But and the pick will hurt their flexibility going forward. But I think that it's an all right trade. Like it's not the best. I think that Brooklyn did decent to recoup what they did. I'm not mad at their move here.
I also think that just looking at it more from Brooklyn's side, because we've been focused on obviously Kyrie going to Dallas and Dallas getting Kyrie. I think Brooklyn also was able to come away with some like a really solid return for a player that was causing them so many problems recently. And I mean, I think Dorian Finney-Smith will obviously be a really good player for them, Dinwiddie. And I think this team's obviously still going to make the playoffs most likely. KD's coming back soon. I think they still have a solid roster. Obviously, it's not the, NBA championship caliber roster, but it still could win a playoff series or two. And I also do kind of look at this trade and some of the other possibilities that were kind of named that the Nets were offered. I know we saw a tweet a few days ago or maybe yesterday about how the Suns had offered Chris Paul and Jay Crowder for Kyrie, which would have been really interesting to see just from both sides. Because Chris Paul and Jay Crowder swapping in for Kyrie with KD would be still a really good team that you could think and see make a playoff push. And then obviously Kyrie with Devin Booker would also be a really cool fit. But yeah, just from what actually happened with Dallas and Brooklyn, I think this is going to be a pretty solid trade for both sides if Kyrie stays. But if Kyrie leaves, then it's just, hindsight 2020. But what was Dallas doing here?
Yeah, I mean, on the floor offensively, Kyrie and Luka make a lot of sense, right? Because Kyrie was kind of the perfect teammate for LeBron in that he can play off the ball and spot up, and he can run pick and roll with LeBron, and he can work off of LeBron on offense, but also he can spell LeBron in those playoff games where LeBron's not really going to the bench. He could give him 2 possessions off where LeBron could just sit in the corner. Maybe he'd catch and shoot, but most often Kyrie would go find a shot for himself or for somebody else. Luka offensively is very similar to LeBron in that way, and that'll be great for him to get a spell. But defensively, Luka obviously is not what prime LeBron was as a defender, and they traded their one truly great perimeter defender in Dorian Finney-Smith, and honestly, Dinwiddie is a net positive defender that they traded. He's better defender than either of Luka or Kyrie. And so now I anticipate them looking to make other moves at this deadline. And then obviously if you can keep Kyrie long-term and it doesn't become a problem with him there long-term and he's available health-wise and he's available mentally, which is also unlikely given what it's looked like in the past 3 spots for Kyrie. But if by some miracle Kyrie switching back to the number 2 goes back to being, good soldier Kyrie that he was the first few years in Cleveland, then you can build off this duo and you can find wings in the offseason. You can see if you can get a wing for Wood now or a defensive big for Christian Wood and try and build something around this. But it's, you also look at it from the perspective of, well, they just lost Brunson for nothing. And then they traded Finney-Smith and Dinwiddie and a first-round pick unprotected and 2 second-round picks for how much better is Kyrie than this version of Brunson? First of all, Brunson has more value given his age and his contract and his reliability and all that. But just even when they're both healthy and playing, he's better than Brunson, but I would say Brunson's 80% of Kyrie at this point, 75%. That's a lot of stuff to kind of move laterally, in my opinion. And I do think there's a good chance we look at this in 3-4 years, and this is the reason when we're all looking back, what went wrong? Why did Luka leave? I think this could be the start of that, and that's scary. But I understand trying to take a shot at it. I get it. The West is wide open, and you think you can make a move to contend this year. I kind of get it, but at the same time, I don't think they can contend this year unless they make another significant move. With Christian Wood seems to be the name that's movable, and they definitely need some defensive pieces there. I don't think they have the stuff to go get Anunoby anymore, but that would be amazing. But if something in the even some wing. I don't know what kind of wing it would be. Crowder maybe is available. I don't love that, but something like that. They have to move. They have to, because you can't close games in the playoffs with Kyrie, Luka, Tim Hardaway Jr., Reggie Bullock, and Dwight Powell or Christian Wood. You're not guarding anybody ever. Like you can. There's no way you can do that. I guess Josh Green's been pretty good. Maybe he can kind of take over that starting wing spot. And it was good on them for not trading him here. But yeah, they're going to need to make some other moves to be serious, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say it's kind of a shame though. Like you just picked up Kyrie Irving, and you have Luka Doncic who might win MVP, and there's still a lot of stuff that needs to be done. And I mean, obviously, I think you're right. Like they definitely do need defensive help on the wing. Like they are going to struggle a lot. Like when you come up against like say the Lakers, or not the Lakers, the Clippers. I mean, sure the Lakers. I mean
the Lakers.
Anybody like with like a really good like small forward though, or like just wing in general, they're going to struggle a lot. This trade almost kind of, I was thinking about it, almost kind of reminds me of the Kyrie trade to Boston not too long ago, because like they also gave up I guess Boston also gave up like a first and a second round pick. Isaiah Thomas, like also just I mean,
they had much more value. They got much more value at that time. But that was before Kyrie was the head case he was, and he was much younger. But I get the analogy.
Yeah, no. It's just a better version of this trade. Like you have like Jay Crowder and Dorian Finney-Smith. That one's kind of similar. Not as much like Dinwiddie and Isaiah Thomas, but like same role-ish.
Structure. The structure is similar. Yeah.
It just seems like a dumbed down version of what like Kyrie was worth like 5 years ago or whenever that was.
Yeah. That's a good pick. I thought somebody mentioned this, I think on ESPN, I can't remember who, but someone mentioned the Mavs trading for Kyrie feels so much like the Nuggets in 08 trading for Allen Iverson. It's like, we need to get Melo help. It's like, all right, well, I guess we can go get 30-year-old Allen Iverson. I guess that maybe that'll do it. But then you're like, oh, Iverson kind of needs to do his own thing. And he's kind of a head case. And Melo's, still learning how to win. Not that Luka's so much better than Melo was. I'm not trying to make that comparison, but it just in the same ilk of like kind of a desperation swing to try and win now around a young star.
Yeah, I feel like the Mavs probably gave up like 2 of their top 4 players this season in this deal, which makes it kind of hard to keep the depth around Luka. Like they have 2 really good pieces at the top, but the roster overall is still very weak. And the results this year have been very mid, despite the talent that Luka's been. Like only being 2 games over 500. Like I don't put that on him really at all. They just don't have the surrounding talent. I like their big 3 that they have right now, though. I think it's one of the better ones in the league. If they can,
you count Wood as the third.
Yeah, probably. I mean,
how many? Wood's good. He can't play defense. He is so bad defensively.
No, I'm not saying he's like he's.
I know. I think he's going to be traded. Is my point. Like I think he's probably out of there this week.
But if he's traded, then that whoever he's traded for could probably be an equivalent on the floor. So maybe that would be their big 3, which is probably one of the better ones. Like there aren't that many ones that are standing out that are much better.
It's damn good.
But yeah, I guess we move on from just the specific trade and talk about the upcoming trade deadline and some of the rumors that have been talked about. Obviously, kind of sticking with the Nets here, with Kyrie leaving, all the eyes.
What is going on? Hold on, pause. Can you see what's going on with stands?
Yeah, I have no idea what's happening. This is like the second time,
and now it's stopped.
Yeah, look fine now. The same thing's like popping up on my screen.
What happened?
It's like
having the
jittering around.
Dude, I okay, I was refraining from making some kind of joke that I shouldn't make, but like I don't know what's going on. Like I'm fine now.
I really hope that shows up on the recording.
I think it will.
Oh my god, dude! I'm starting to like sweat, like panic, whenever, like that comes up in my.
That's screen. Fine.
All right,
Zach, you can continue.
All right. Anyways, Yeah, KD now is kind of the focus
Ah.
when it comes to the trade deadline and trades in general. Uh, I think we can all agree that he's not moving. He's not going to get moved before the deadline here. But definitely this offseason, he's probably going to be the main focus all around the league, like he was when he requested a trade over the summer. But yeah, he's probably going to be on the move, and the Nets are also probably going to be looking to make some more moves, especially just for this season, but then obviously in the offseason as well.
Yeah. I think the Nets obviously would love to keep Kevin Durant for the long haul. And I think this is a good opportunity for Durant and for them to they have 3 tradable picks now. With that Mavericks pick, they have a Sixers pick in 27, and they have their own pick in 29, maybe. And they have a bunch of seconds, and they have a bunch of movable salaries with Seth Curry and Joe Harris and now Dinwiddie. Finney Smith's movable, but I don't think they're going to move him. He's a fantastic 3-and-D player. He's a great player to have on your team. I think they have a chance to really make this roster somewhat interesting. I don't know what the odds of them making a serious contender are, but I don't know that they were going to beat Milwaukee or Boston or Philly, for that matter, with Kyrie anyway. So I actually think it's going to be more interesting if say they've been linked to some of these Raptors guys, say they get Van Vliet or Anunoby. Anunoby's the name that really interesting to me, because if they get Anunoby and then you can run out all of Durant, Finney Smith, Dinwiddie, Anunoby, and if you want to play small, you can go Simmons or O'Neal. Or Claxton usually, because he's probably their second best player. But that's a super switchable, versatile, amazing defensive lineup. Like, that is a fantastic defensive lineup. And if you can squeak out enough offense, that's why I think they've been linked to Van Vliet, because he'd be the more the offense option there. But I think the Nets, whether it's the Raptors or maybe some of those Jazz guys seem to be available. We'll get to that in a little bit with some of the other rumors, but I think the Nets I think they're going to, for sure, make another significant move before the deadline, and I think that's the path I would go. I think even if you think maybe you're not going to be a serious contender, you got to try while you have Kevin Durant, and if you can convince Durant to stay and give him something interesting, because I think a lineup of led by Durant, even if you don't have a serious second star, I think you can, because if you look at that Nets roster with all the shooting they have and all the defense they have, would everybody, like, if Giannis was there instead of Durant, everybody would expect them to be a serious contender. If Luka was there, everybody like, that's a good enough roster, you can make a run. I feel the same way about Durant, and if Durant is what we are to believe he is, and I have no reason to think he isn't that, they can be serious contenders without Kyrie Irving, given the it's not like the Lakers where it's LeBron, AD, and Dennis Schroeder. They have serious players all over the place. So I think they can seriously contend if they make some moves here.
And if you make a big swing now and it still doesn't convince KD to stay, you can still get a big package in return for him. So you're not like screwed as a franchise like you might otherwise be, because he's under control until 2026.
Yeah. My one hesitation for making a move, I wouldn't want to trade their own 2029 pick, because they're already invested so far deep in their own picks in the future. I'd be looking to move that Dallas pick and the Sixers pick with whatever else I can give to make some move here. But I would be hesitant to move my own pick at that point. But anything else, I'm willing to try and make this roster better at any cost, because I think Kevin Durant's that good. It's worth doing it.
Yeah, I mean, you think of, there's like a very short list over teams that can have one star and can still win an NBA championship. Like, most often you need that really good that secondary piece to really fit in. And sure, I mean, Van Vliet could be that guy if they happen to move for him or whatever. But yeah, it's not often that you have this Nick Claxton, who's defensive player of the year candidate. You have Dorian Finney-Smith now that they've got. You've got a bunch of other quality shooting pieces, which I'm always a fan of to have around your primary star. I don't know, I mean, it's just different watching a Kevin Durant who's not injured in the playoffs. Like, I don't know. The sky's like there's such a high ceiling with teams like that. Will it work? I don't I don't really know. I'd have to see like what move they make, but the sky's kind of the limit when you've got Kevin Durant on your team.
If their secondary scorer / like ball handler is, I don't know, Anunoby or Dinwiddie, I kind of do have a hard time seeing them beating any of the other top 3 teams in the East, being whether it be Milwaukee, Boston, or Philly, or even Cleveland for that matter. But I don't think anybody obviously the East is much better now, but this roster is significantly better than the one LeBron took to the finals in 2018. And not that because the East is so much harder, I don't think you can make the finals with it. But Durant's good enough. He's not 2018 LeBron. That might be the best version of. It's one of the best versions of one of the 2 greatest players ever. So he's not that, but he is fantastic. And I think you can. Would I be shocked if we got to a round 2 series between Brooklyn, who acquired Fred VanVleet, and Milwaukee, and it's going 6-7 games? No, I wouldn't be surprised at all. And that's a testament to Kevin Durant. And I think they owe it to him for, Kevin Durant he made a trade request. He was a good soldier. He was like, all right, I'll unlike Kyrie, he's like, all right, I rescind my trade request. I'm here to ball. You'd never had any questions about Durant's, he's always going to go hoop no matter what his contract situation or how happy he is. He's going to go hoop. He loves it. And I think Brooklyn owes it to him because, 2 years ago, the only thing saving Brooklyn from this is already a disaster, trading for Harden, losing Kyrie, everything that went on with Kyrie. The only thing that is saving their ass is the fact that Durant signed that contract extension 2 years ago. And now they have that golden ticket to get out and start a rebuild with, 5 first-round picks and 3 great young players or whatever they're going to get for him. And because of that, I think they owe it to him to make as big of a splash as they can to add some pieces here post Kyrie. And I think they'll do it. I think we'll probably do another pod later this week post deadline. And I think we're going to be talking about what do the new look Nets mean in the East.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think OG is also like just not even for the Nets. He's an amazing fit for like
every team in the league. Yeah.
Looking to make a move. So I feel like he might be really the top target that people are really talking about in serious trade rumors here. Maybe Pascal Siakam, but he hasn't been, brought up as much as OG.
Yeah, you'd have to give up so much to get Siakam. I mean, I bet it could be done, but I don't think anybody's going to do it at this deadline.
Yeah. Just too high level of a player. But
yeah,
like I was saying, OG is really just a fit for any team that's looking to make a big move here. So I think really anywhere he goes, he's going to be a good fit. And I think if the Nets were to make a move for him, it would be a really good idea for them to keep Durant happy and, look to push in the playoffs possibly. But moving on from the Nets, we can talk about the Lakers here since we have our honorary Lakers fan, Declan Pollard, to talk us through what's going on for the Lakers in the trade deadline.
Yeah, I mean, I'm here, but also this Kyrie was that was the rumored spot. That's where the I guess the Twitter zeitgeist kind of had the consensus was not that that's where he was going, but that was certainly one of the landing spots that was favored. But Shams came out and said, obviously the report was they offered both firsts for Kyrie. And they were willing to trade both firsts. And then, the Nets kind of weren't negotiating in good faith. They were like, all right, give us both firsts and then both swaps and then Christie and then Reeves. And then we can start talking. And that's like, for Kyrie, you're not giving up every single asset you have. And Stans is going nuts again. But that's remarkable that he's able to do that. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I think it's Basketball Reference. I think whenever I open up Basketball Reference, like my computer can't handle it.
Okay.
It's just like praying.
I'm literally on there right now.
He's going like this. Maybe go to Basketball Reference on your phone, Stan.
Because I don't know. I was just gonna take a check on like what the Jazz were doing. And
we'll get to that. But that was okay. Stan's, you're banned from Basketball Reference.
Yeah, no, I think I am.
All right. But as I was saying, the Nets weren't really negotiating in good faith with the Lakers. And also, I think the Mavs had a better offer. Like, I didn't think they would go to Finney-Smith and Dinwiddie. Both, they got the two players they wanted, so I get that they didn't get Kyrie. But it sounds like maybe this is just Pelinka and Genie trying to appease the fan base, but it sounds like all the reporting is they're still going to make a move here at the deadline. They're committed to it. And with the way LeBron's talking, they better make a move or he's going to be gone in the offseason because he wants to be in LA. He loves it there. His kids are there. He wants them to finish high school there and all that great stuff. But he's cutting the Lakers front office slack that he did not cut the Heat front office, that he certainly did not cut Dan Gilbert and the Cavs front office. So I think his patience is thicker for the Lakers, but it's not unlimited. And if they don't make a move here, I think you could see a little bit of an outburst in the near future of passive aggressive remarks. But
I mean, there was already like those remarks like today or whatever, right?
I mean, he had a scheduled thing with Michael Wilbon, and Wilbon was doing his thing, his journalistic duty to ask the Kyrie question. And LeBron, I thought he gave a pretty diplomatic answer. He was like, "Yeah, I was upset, but we're moving on." Whatever. He's trying so hard not to every time they ask him, he's like, "That's Rob's job. I can't say anything. That's Rob's job." He's trying so hard not to be an asshole, but he wants to so bad.
I mean, let's not forget though, like before like the Lakers like ownership caves in and gets LeBron as help. Let's not forget there's a reason why Russell Westbrook is on the Los Angeles Lakers now.
Last time I checked, Rob Pelinka makes the decisions there, and he should have known. I mean, LeBron also fucked that up. It obviously was a mistake, but you gotta pivot at some point from that mistake. That's a nice background, Zach. You gotta pivot at some.
This is LeBron after he saw that Kyrie thing and made that tweet about saying,
maybe it's me.
It's all my. Is it just me or like is it all my fault?
He said maybe it's me.
No, it is GM. It is.
No, yeah. Sure. Well, the GM would have traded all the kids for Kyrie, so I don't want to hear no GM stuff.
Yeah, because they probably said like, yeah, look how it's working.
I want to be clear. I think the Lakers front office made the right decision not caving and giving up the crazy ask that they were asking for Kyrie. I think they made the right decision. I think they made a bad decision on the Westbrook thing, and they are trying very hard to be responsible now. They are trying so hard to be a responsible organization, and I guess you get credit for that. At the same time, they do need to make some deal because they can't just use their cap space next summer, because if they use their cap space, they'll lose Rui, and that's kind of he's not but you got to build these rosters out with solid, usable players. And if they don't use this Westbrook trade slot, this $47 million in salary, they're never going to be able to use it. So some of the rumors out there, Sham said some of the 1 first-round pick trades are out there, was the Jazz and the Raptors were the few rumors, and they mentioned the Hawks and the Pistons with the different Bogdanoviches as different trade targets. But the 2 more interesting ones were the Jazz, where he suggested that something that's out there for them was Jared Vanderbilt, Mike Conley, and Malik Beasley for Russ and a pick. And to me, I don't know that I believe that. That's a whole lot for Russ and a pick. But I don't know. But fucking Sham said it. So I guess there's some merit to that being available, whether it's 1 pick or both picks.
That'd be an insane haul. I mean,
maybe it's
possible. Maybe
Vanderbilt's already too much. It's like too valuable for fucking Russ and a pick.
It's not about Russ. Russ is irrelevant. Russ is just, forget Russ. $47 million of expiring salary.
I was just saying maybe Danny Ainge is trying to cook up some like 1-year rebuild or some shit. Like,
yeah,
he could be going crazy.
I think Danny Ainge knows the Lakers are going to fall apart in 5 years, and he wants one of those picks pretty bad. So he knows that pick in 4 years when the Lakers are tanking again is going to be worth a whole lot. So if he can get 1 unprotected pick, I bet they would do something like that. If it's $47 million in expiring money for, Conley's not worth a first on his own because he's older and expensive. Vanderbilt, it sounds like, is worth a bunch of seconds or a protected first. And then same with Beasley, is probably a protected first or a bunch of seconds. So I kind of get it. I still think if I'm the Lakers, you got to do that immediately. But
Lakers roster gets a lot better in that.
Yeah, it gets a
scenario.
lot better. And the other rumor is the Raptors would be both picks and probably a swap too. Probably 2 picks in the swap. Similar to what you would have had to give up for Kyrie would be the Van Vliet and Trent for Russ, which again would be crazy, but that'd be, that's up there. I think probably Van Vliet has more standalone value on his own that's not going to get done. Like a team like the Clippers would probably give you 2 picks for Van Vliet by himself. You could probably you can't get a first straight up for Trent, but you could probably get a protected first for Trent, or 4 or 5 second-round picks for Trent, something like that. So I think the Raptors thing is less likely, but I think Utah is probably the team to look out for, whether it's those three or something else. Whether you take out one of the more meaningful players and put in Rudy Gay's expiring salary or something dumb like that. I think that's what you need to look out for the Lakers. Sham said those three, and then he mentioned look out for Chicago, Charlotte as other options for them to make a deal with. But he said to expect a trade, and if I had to guess right now, I guess there's a Utah trade to be made for the Lakers.
Jazz would probably have like full like max space in this scenario if they did this.
Yeah,
So just throwing that out there.
a lot of teams would have full max space if they get off long-term deals for Russ's $47 million expiring.
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't know. The Lakers have a lot of moves they probably need to make to really start thinking about serious contention again. And moving off Russ is definitely the first thing they have to take off.
They have to do it. It's not even about getting great players back. They have to have that salary there, because they can't replace that salary in the offseason. And then it's just going to get worse. This is their only chance to build a contender even next year, is if they make a Russ trade.
Yeah. To think they could have had DeMar DeRozan.
I don't know that would have worked either, to be honest. But
Still better.
Yeah, it would definitely be better. I hope they don't trade for DeMar DeRozan now. That's a rumor that's out there. Please don't do that, Rob. That's not the move.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that for either team, honestly.
Yeah, I don't like it for the Bulls either. It's just bad for everybody.
Yeah. But moving on from the Lakers, we can talk about the other LA team with the Clippers. Obviously, they were a pretty big name in the rumors for Kyrie. And especially with just our group, we've talked about, at least I have personally, have talked about and thought a lot about, the Clippers getting Kyrie would be a really good fit to kind of push them to the top of the West in terms of like the power rankings. But they definitely need a point guard now that Kyrie's off the board. I think Fred VanVleet is a really, possible option for them. I think that's likely, maybe if they're looking for a trade, maybe Mike Conley, another name that, they could bring in, but
D'Lo's
they
been put out there.
Yeah. Yeah. But they paid John Wall in the offseason. And then obviously they have Reggie Jackson, Terrence Mann, guys like that. They just need that like surefire starter, and then to have the rest of those guys be kind of, role players, and not have, Reggie Jackson being your full-time point guard in the playoffs. Even though, he turns it up a notch in the playoffs, playoff Reggie Jackson, but they definitely need a significant starter. And that's why I think Fred VanVleet would be a really good option for them.
I think Stans, you can go.
All right. Yeah, no, that's definitely why I'd want them to get Fred VanVleet over a guy like Mike Conley or somebody like that, because like
Lowry?
sure. Yeah, like sure like you said, Lowry.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I mean that would be interesting, but I think like a point guard is definitely like where they should probably target. Like, yeah, Conley's good, but I agree they definitely need like that step up from like Reggie Jackson. Like, yeah, he's a great, like I'd say, like role player to fill in for the playoffs and like get a nice job done, play like 15, 20 minutes, whatever. But I do think for the Clippers to really make that next step into like the top tier, because like I don't know, the West has been kind of open the last few years, and it's all like I feel like it's different from like the Nets compared to like the Clippers. Like I never really had that much like belief that the Clippers would be like making the finals or anything like that with the roster that they have right now. But I think with Fred VanVleet, there is a better chance than I think what they've had recently.
I think the Kyrie sweepstakes hurt the Clippers in a lot of ways, actually, because first of all, they didn't get him. And I actually thought the Clippers were a team that, at this point, Kawhi and Paul George keep missing games. Might as well push the chips in and try for Kyrie. I totally would have done it as them. They're a team that I think would have made some sense. But not that the problem isn't that they didn't get Kyrie. That's not the biggest problem. The problem is I thought they were the favorites for Van Vliet. And now the Nets are geared up with more assets, and Mark Stein and Chris Haynes were reporting. And I think Sham said that now the Nets are looking to be in the Van Vliet sweepstakes. And obviously the Lakers were interested in a bigger package around Van Vliet and Trent. But I thought if it was the Lakers and Clippers as the main two bidders for Fred Van Vliet, that the Clippers would be able to, because they can offer more interesting pieces back. And Toronto likes to get, they'd love to get a guy like Terrence Mann back as opposed to just the Westbrook expiring salary. But now that the Nets are involved in it, if the Nets want to beat, the Nets can beat any Clippers potential offer for Fred Van Vliet. And I think that might be where this goes down, the path it goes down. But Van Vliet would certainly be a great ad for the Clippers. And, right now their best point guard is Terrence Mann. He's starting for them. John Wall's been terrible. Like, John Wall has not been good. Which is sad because, especially for Kobe, former Wizards fan, current Wizards fan, former bigger Wizards fan back when they won games. And, we're all from around the area, so we grew up on John Wall, but he's not good anymore. And Reggie Jackson had like a weird late career resurgence, but he's not good anymore. He's fine.
Yeah, Reggie's had a really bad season, and Wall hasn't been better, or maybe like equal. I don't know. They're both pretty shitty options at this stage. The Clippers have a few holes in the roster, but that is definitely one of them.
Yeah, Man's okay. Man's an okay player, but I think they obviously are a team that's geared to win right now. And Man is young, he's fine, but if they can, I think what's more likely is, I think Van Vliet's on the table. If I had to guess, a week ago I would have guessed Van Vliet doesn't end up getting traded at all. But now, if I had to guess, he gets traded to the Nets. It seems like they're pretty determined. I can't tell because they said they're talking to the Raptors. I can't tell if that's an OG or a Van Vliet thing, but my guess would be Van Vliet. But if I'm the Clippers, I think Conley makes some sense as just a steady, reliable player there. But like we said, like we were talking about a few minutes ago, I think the reason that trade hasn't been made already is because the Jazz, you're not giving up a first-round pick for 35-year-old Mike Conley with $25 million to make next year, even though some of it's not guaranteed. You can get out of about 11 of that. But I think the Jazz are waiting to see if they can, get serious draft compensation from the Lakers in some big trade that would include Mike Conley. So that I think otherwise, and obviously the Clippers are looking to see if they can get someone better, whether that be D'Lo or Van Vliet or any of these other point guards that might be out there. Lowry, I guess that'd be funny. Reunite him and Lowry's got nothing left, man. They said the rumors about Lowry being traded. I don't know where the hell he's going to go. But I do think the Clippers get a point guard. If I had to predict right now, I'd have a hard time picking who, but I guess sneaky. I think if D'Angelo Russell's actually available, I like that fit a lot for the Clippers because they can cover up some of his defensive flaws. He can be a guy who starts possessions and he can get some shots for himself when he's out there without Kawhi or Paul George or both when they're not playing. And yeah, I think they'll definitely. I think that I would be stunned if the Clippers came out of this deadline without a serious point guard that we're like, okay, they're making a run at this thing, and I'd expect it to be one of Van Vliet, Lowry, Van Vliet, Lowry.
Serious.
Yeah, serious. Lowry's not that serious, but Van Vliet, Conley, or D'Angelo Russell, who are the names that are out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of agree with the whole thing we've been talking about. Yeah, I think the Clippers just really do need. I think the point guard's the one position that they really need to upgrade going into the playoffs. Like we were talking about with Wall and Jackson. Kind of underperformed.
Wall might get bought out. That was a rumor. Wall, they might just buy out John Wall.
Yeah, he's on a pretty cheap contract for what he's making, so that could make some sense. Yeah, but lastly, we can finish up with the whole trade deadline rumors and all these things. With the kind of wrapping back up with the Mavs, like we started with, and them looking for another defender. we kind of already talked about this a lot, so we can kind of, just throw out some names. But yeah, I definitely think that they should make one more trade, whether that be, top of the line, throwing everything out there would be for OG Anunoby, which I don't even know if they have the assets for that, but it's possible. Maybe. But then also some smaller names like Jared Vanderbilt, maybe, could be a
Vanderbilt,
good
yep.
fit for
Vanderbilt
to
would be
bring in.
interesting. Crowder is a name that's been thrown out there.
Mhm.
There's plenty of, defensive bigs that are, not necessarily being shopped, but somebody will budge and be like, yeah, I'll give, the Mason Plumlees of the world, something like that.
Hey man, Mason Plumlee's had the best month of his
Mason
career.
Plumlee's been awesome. He's been so good, but that's
Best player
besides
on
the
the
point.
Hornets right now.
Yeah. I expect the Mavs to make another move, and I expect the Nets to make one. I expect both of those teams in the Kyrie trade to make another move in these next 3 days, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's like so many players who could just fit in with the Mavs. I mean, they just needed they just need a guy who can play defense at the end of games.
How about Dorian Finney-Smith? They should trade for Dorian Finney-Smith.
Yeah, I mean,
that'd be a good trade.
I feel like he'd be a good fit there.
Yeah, and then maybe you could get Dinwiddie in that deal as well. That'd be a pretty good get for Dallas.
For Luka though.
Oh yeah, for Luka. They traded Kyrie for Luka straight up.
Oh
What a
my god,
trade.
hating Luka would be incredible.
Yeah, but other than the trades, the other big news in the NBA was Steph coming down with an injury in his knee, I believe. He had a partial tear, which is going to hold him out for I think they said what, 4 to 6 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks, months. I
didn't even understand what the injury was. Like that was beyond my vocabulary.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
saw
there's
the
just, like,
very big words.
I was looking it up and like they're like, all right, there's like some fluid in his leg. He tore this thing in his leg, but I was looking up. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, I assuming he'll be fine when he comes back. This matters because they're gonna fall into like maybe out of the play-ins for a little bit here if they can't keep winning without him, and I don't know that they're gonna be able to. They have to. Golden State is another team that isn't good enough right now, and no matter how many people think they're gonna just flip a switch in the playoffs, and I'm sure they will, they'll look better in the playoffs, but teams that come in as the 8th seed don't win ever. This doesn't happen. So I think Golden State needs to make another move here, or some move. They hate making in-season moves. Just something small. They don't have. Last year they had Porter and GP2 to come off the bench and be reliable for them. They don't have anybody like that this year.
I feel like I've never seen a Super Finals winning team drop that far after 1 year. They've had some injuries and stuff, but like the drop off has been pretty like after one season.
Yeah.
It's been pretty weird.
Yeah.
They lost some players, so it makes some sense, but it feels like there's been a lot of regression too.
It is
Yeah.
interesting though, because
And the young pieces that they were depending on have not been up to
Kuminga's been the only one who's
expectation.
been decent, and he's been fine. Like Kuminga's been fine, not great though.
Yeah, like Wiseman, that was
Wiseman's-
not good.
Yeah, Wiseman's a nothing. The rumor that I like is the Wiseman for Caruso rumor. If you can do that, you're selling low and you're punting on the potential. But I think you got to do it if you can.
Oh, I think absolutely, and I think Caruso would make sense for a team like the Warriors, who for right now without Steph Curry, they're really gonna like. I'd say, I guess the ball is gonna be in like what Jordan Poole's hands
It'll be Poole and Draymond.
Draymond, yeah.
I,
And I don't know. I don't really know how much of a fan I am of that. I mean, maybe if like they can get Poole to like seriously buy in to, I guess, like passing the ball, being the primary guy.
you need the baddies courtside at every game.
Yeah, I think you do, because I'm not a fan of it. Like he's gonna need that extra bit in the tank if they're gonna like win games. I mean, they're struggling to stay above 500 right now. So
They need Caruso is that thing where he's a veteran that isn't 35. He's like 28, 29 years old. He's a veteran who has championship experience, who knows his role exactly. They just need more players that can play. It sounds like super baseline analysis, and it is. But sometimes it's as simple as they just don't have enough guys that I trust to be on the floor. Like they don't. Like you're playing Moses Moody serious, Patrick Baldwin Jr. is playing serious movement minutes. Like it's like they need more guys who are consistently reliable. And this is kind of the consequence of them going so far deep into the luxury tax, is that this happens. Like DiVincenzo is just not that good anymore, and you can't really trust him. They're playing Anthony Lamb like serious minutes, like 18, 19, 20 minutes a game. Like they need one or two more just guys who you can come off the bench and place. The strength in numbers is what they kind of came up on and built this dynasty off of. They have 6 players. That's it. They have nothing else. And when Steph's hurt, they have 5 players. And then it's like, all right. Anytime they have to go to the bench, they're screwed.
Yeah, I mean it can be like the Warriors in that Raptors. I could see like something like the Warriors like that Raptors finals run when like
With
people
Quinn
just
Cook,
get
yeah.
injured. Yeah, people
Yeah.
just get injured, and then you're like, well, this like the supposed like super team just
you go back to the
isn't
highlights.
good.
You go back to the highlights of that series, and you're like, it's the end of a finals game, and you're like, is that so? This lineup is. Let me get this straight: Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Quinn Cook, Alfonso McKinney, and DeMarcus Cousins. What is
Yeah,
what is
like
going on here?
yeah, because like if a couple people get out, because like most of their players like that play right now aren't young and have injury history.
Yeah.
So I mean, they could get by with it. Like you just kind of like roll that dice, and I think they should roll the dice on bringing in somebody in to prevent that from happening.
Steph's too good, and they're too good to think. Apparently, there's been like controversy in like the ownership and the GM with Lacob and Myers wants to like push some chips in, but Lacob's like apparently like a huge fan of like just he's like, oh, we're gonna transition to the next generation with Kuminga and Wiseman and Moody. It's like these guys aren't blue chip prospects. They're not that good. Like they're fine. You got to move off. Like you get even if you're selling a little low, you have to move off these guys to get pieces to win now. And I think it would be worth it if you could get a Caruso, or you could get a Jay Crowder, who I hate Jay Crowder. I hate that I keep having to bring his name up, but he would help you right now. And there's plenty of guys out there who are available. Like Terrence Ross with the Magic. He's not great players or by any means, but they're guys who will help you win, as opposed to guys who are trying to learn how to win. And you can't afford to have guys out there who are trying to learn how to win right now as Golden State.
Yeah, I think that's just a consequence of pretty much growing their entire team and having so much success that they're not willing to like par with new players.
I think ownership thinks they can do it again, and you just don't. It doesn't happen like this. You're not going to build another. Even when the Spurs found Kawhi after Duncan, Kawhi just left. Like even if you hit it perfectly, it's no guarantee that it's going to work. If you have a championship window, you got to do whatever you can to keep that open as long as possible. I think that's it on the Warriors, though.
Yeah,
I think so.
I guess we can kind of stay on the Warriors still, because we're going to talk about who's replacing Steph for the All-Star game, but this kind of moves into the All-Star announcements. But we can start with who's going to replace Steph as the starter now for the All-Star team, since he's now going to be missing the All-Star game and All-Star events. The 3 names that are most likely to replace him are Dame, Shea, or Ja Morant. Who do we prefer here? I think it's probably between Dame and Shea.
I'd like SGA to get it. I think SGA deserves it.
I mean, I've got no problem if SGA gets it. I mean, this could really go either way, but I mean, I kind of want to give it to Dame. He's having like I never saw Dame in 2023 playing as good as he is now, and I feel like he deserves it. I think this might be his most efficient season, at least in true shooting percentages. This is his most efficient season. I know that for sure by like a decent margin. I don't know. I feel like Dame deserves it at like 30-7. I don't know. He's one of the only players.
Isn't SGA averaging 30-7 too? Isn't he up
He's
there?
averaging 31 and 6.
Oh, okay.
No, I meant like it's Embiid and Damian Lillard are like the only guys like the top 20 in true shooting percentage, but are also averaging 30 points per
Oh,
game.
okay.
Curry and KD very narrowly miss out on that, like very narrowly. Like this could change like in a well, I guess it can't for like Curry, but
KD's also hurt, so
yeah, KD as well. Like, but I don't know. Like, I want to give Dame his respect because Shea will just be here for a long time.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty kind of a toss up. Like those players like have very deserving cases. I feel like I'd probably give it to Dame, but it's like really close. I mean, like Stan said, Shea'll be here for a long time, but at the same time, I do want to give him his recognition. I'm pretty sure that Dame has started in the game before, so we'll see what they give it. Who they give it
Also,
to.
it doesn't really matter who gets
No,
the
not
starting
really.
because like in the history it'll go back and it'll say Steph is the starter. Also, nobody remembers all-star starters. People are already forgetting that Andrew Wiggins was an all-star starter last year. It
Fraudulent.
ultimately doesn't matter, but I'd get Dame or SGA either way. I don't think you can go wrong. What I hope they better not give it to John Morant. That would be upsetting to me because John Morant's been good. He's great, but he hasn't been as good as those two.
I think it'd be more interesting looking at like who's gonna be the replacement though.
Yeah,
We're a big fan here on the podcast of lighting the beam.
Mhm.
I think give De'Aaron Fox that all-star
I
spot.
mean, it's a guard spot. So
Yeah.
I think just if we're just giving it to anybody, I think Fox and Davis probably have the best chance. But I'd give it to Fox because it's a guard spot, and the Kings definitely deserve the more recognition here. And so Fox, I guess Anthony Edwards has a case, but I'd definitely give it to De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, like I honestly I'd be a little bit disappointed if like Jamal Murray or like Aaron Gordon.
Jamal Murray was not good the first 2 months of the season.
Yeah,
He's
like
hurt recently, but
I'd be
not to
disappointed if
start.
they gave it to like a second option on that Denver team.
Yeah, I agree. I think it deserves to go to Fox. I think it will go to Fox, and that'll be cool to see. He definitely deserves his All-Star nod here.
He's been incredible this year, and I'm gonna see if I can pull up the stats, but he's been the most clutch player in the league. I think we've gone over this already. Like
Yeah.
him and DeRozan are like the two most clutch players in the league. He's just been incredible this year, and I think he definitely deserves to go to the All-Star game with Sabonis as well. So
Yeah. When you
good
checked
for Kings,
when you checked 3 weeks ago, he was shooting like 60% in clutch
Mhm.
situations while having shot like 30 more shots than anybody else in the league. It was crazy.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean,
moving on just from the replacements, we can talk about the All-Star reserves that were announced over the weekend. I guess I'll just go through each name here. For the Western Conference, Paul George from the Clippers, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from the Thunder, Jaren Jackson Jr. from the Grizzlies, Damian Lillard from the Trailblazers, Lauri Markkanen from the Jazz, huge. John Morant from the Memphis Grizzlies, Domantas Sabonis from the Kings, and then for the Eastern Conference, Bam Adebayo from the Heat, Jaylen Brown from the Celtics, DeMar DeRozan from the Bulls, Joel Embiid from the Sixers, Tyrese Halliburton from the Pacers, Drew Holiday from the Bucks, and Julius Randle from the Knicks. I think the two big names here that people are kind of upset with making the team is Drew Holiday and Jaren Jackson. I think people were upset with Jaren Jackson and thought AD or Fox deserved it over him. And then for Drew Holiday, I think most people are arguing Trae Young, Brunson, or Harden, maybe Siakam as well.
Siakam, yeah, honestly, any of them.
Or Jimmy Butler. Yeah, all of them should have made it over instead of Drew Holiday. Obviously, I'm going to pick James Harden because, go Sixers. But yeah, those are the All-Star reserves. Yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on this?
Yeah, honestly, they did an okay job. I think the two there's gonna be a miss or two because it's everyone has their opinion, and this is the coaches and stuff who vote on this stuff who are more qualified than us. However, I don't care. I'm gonna pretend like I'm more qualified than them. And I definitely would have given the Jaren Jackson Jr. spot to Anthony Davis or De'Aaron Fox. Anthony Davis played 12 fewer minutes than Jaren Jackson Jr. So everyone was like, oh, he hasn't played as much. He's played 12 fewer minutes and has like similar shooting splits and is averaging obviously way more points and is, had similar defensive impact, even though Jaren Jackson Jr. has been a better defensive impact. That said, the All-Star game. I don't think we should care that much about defensive impact. Every time Rudy Gobert should, like, when he was at his peak, he deserved to make the All-Star game, but like send somebody else. He was so boring in those games. They'd throw him a lob and Rudy Gobert's flexing after he makes like a two-hand off two dunk with nobody in front of him. And we're like, what are we doing, guys? Then on the way down, somebody does like a 360 windmill. And then Rudy Gobert's like, he just dunks regularly. So for the sake of the All-Star game, you got to I don't know how you cannot have De'Aaron Fox in the game. I think he'll be in it now just because of Steph's injury. But for the sake of how fun of a player De'Aaron Fox is, I would have given that utility spot or whatever it's called, that last spot to Fox over Jackson. And then for Holiday, I like Drew Holiday, but that was kind of egregious. There's Siakam would have been my pick. Harden would have been just as good of a pick as Siakam. Yeah, Trae Young would have been just pretty much as valid as those two picks. Brunson would have been more valid than Holiday. I like Drew Holiday; he's a great player, but I cannot get behind putting him in over all those guys.
Yeah, he's not an all-star in the year 2023. His offensive game just isn't as well-rounded as those guys, and that's kind of what makes the difference for the all-star game usually. So
I mean, yeah, like obviously for the All-Star game, I mean, you three know exactly where I'm going with this. I want to see Trae Young there. I absolutely want to see Trae Young there. He deserves to be there. We're talking about like one of the most like fun players to watch. He is one of them.
Dribble, 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 run around screen, dribble, 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 shoot far. It's not that fun.
Yeah, people love like the flashy plays he makes.
I feel like people don't like watching Trae Young. I feel like that's a consensus. I know coaches don't like watching Trae Young. That's why he's not in the All-Star game.
Hey, I'm not saying there's times I don't like watching him either. Like, definitely gets on my nerves sometimes, but I want him there because we don't have anybody else.
He deserves it. He is a statistic. He is a statistical case that nobody else who got snubbed has. He was just purely offensive stats wise. He was the best player that didn't get in.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I think you've got definite arguments for like Pascal or Jalen Brunson or whoever. James Harden too. I mean, he'd be a fun player to watch as per usual.
Cam Thomas.
Yeah.
Furkan Korkmaz.
You see the trade
we have to
demand
report
today?
the Furkan news.
Oh yeah, I guess
Furkan
we can talk about that real quick. Yeah, Furkan Korkmaz requesting a trade out of Philly. Praise Jesus Christ. He's forcing our front office to get him the fuck out of Philly because he is a bum now. He's trash. So
I
good
feel
thing
like
for him.
Cam Thomas has 36 points in the third quarter of this this Clippers Nets game right now.
Yeah.
God damn.
But my point, there needs to be a rule about how good you have to be to demand a trade. Surely Furkan Korkmaz is not allowed to demand a trade. Like, this is ridiculous.
He doesn't have like the right to do that. Yeah.
It's like when Jay Crowder did it. Like, what do you mean, Jake? What are you demanding? The first person to do that was Eric Bledsoe. Back when Eric Bledsoe wasn't, he was fine. It was like, Eric Bledsoe demanded. What do you mean you demanded a trade? You're Eric Bledsoe. I'm sure the Phillies' response to Korkmaz was like, all right, we'll trade you probably, but if not, we'll just cut you. I don't really care.
Yeah, I don't know. I just hope we move him and I hope we make a smaller move for a bench player, and that involves him getting off the team in that move.
I think the Sixers need to find a backup big because you cannot play Montrezl Harrell serious playoff minutes.
Need Andre Drummond.
If the Jazz don't make some big accumulated deal with the Lakers or the Clippers or whoever, I think the Sixers would be a fantastic Jared Vanderbilt spot.
I agree.
Oh, I would like that. I'm a fan of that. They need somebody on that like Dwight Howard level as like a backup center for Philly.
Yeah. And
Isn't it
Vanderbilt's
pretty
better than
funny that
Howard was.
it's pretty funny that Furkan Korkmaz is only 25 years old. He just feels like some guy that would probably be like 28,
30.
29, 30 by now. Like, but I guess he was a rookie like 6 years ago and he was 20. Like, it's just, I don't know. Like, it's weird. The last 2 years, he's just stopped making shots basically, and now he doesn't even get used, which is probably about right. He's not really worthy of that a
He's
role
not
these
great.
last
Yeah.
2 years. He used to be like decent, but I don't know what happened. Anyway, he's either going to get traded or cut. Yeah, probably
We've
the second
already
round
spent
pick
too
or
much
something.
time talking about Furkan
Yeah.
Korkmaz, so we can move on.
Let's move on to our game recaps here from the past week, like a week and a few days. We were all really hyped for this matchup last Saturday or last Sunday. Jokic versus Embiid, Denver versus Philly. The Sixers pulled it out 126-119. I believe they had a 20-plus point, maybe 15-point comeback. Joel Embiid absolutely shit on Nikola Jokic with 47, 18, 5, 3, and 2 on 18 of 31. Harden played mid as usual with 17, 4, and 13 on 50% shooting. Good assist numbers, but again, I wish James Harden could score like he used to, but he just can't, sadly. Good thing he's an elite floor general now, but Jokic had 24, 8, 9, and 7 turnovers on 8 of 12 from the field, and Jamal Murray had 22, 4, and 6, which is a really good effort. I think we all agreed during this game that we were kind of disappointed that Jokic kind of, didn't, try and take over all the shots for the Nuggets when the Sixers were coming back in the fourth quarter. He kind of just didn't really attack scoring the ball, continued to, pass, which is kind of what lost them. Maybe not what lost them this game, but was a big factor as to why they couldn't really compete in the fourth quarter really with the Sixers offense.
Yeah, I would have liked to see him not defer as much. Like, it's the game plan, I guess. Like, he obviously is averaging a triple double for a reason. Like, you can't just take all the shots and somehow and put those kind of stats up. But that game, it just wasn't working, and I think he had to be more dynamic with his adaptation and the game script. Like, maybe if he had started taking a bit more shots than he's used to, he could have kept the pace going with Embiid. I mean, maybe he wasn't going to be going all off and dropping like 40 something points and having the explosion that Embiid had, but he could have at least prevented them from choking that really great first half that they put up.
Mm-hmm. Jokic got thoroughly outplayed by Embiid. And I think, MVP wise, Jokic is, it feels like from what, how the media is talking, he's probably still the front runner because ultimately they're the ones who decide, they're the voters. But that did take a serious dent in it, and Embiid's making a chase on him. And I think there's a good chance Embiid, if the Sixers keep winning, Embiid wins MVP this year. That's certainly on the table, and I'd say one of the more likely outcomes. And that game certainly helped with that a lot. Jokic, as great as he is, he always wants to make the right play. He was clearly gassed from having to guard Embiid all night, and Doc Rivers made the really wise decision of not that Embiid can't guard Jokic. I mean, nobody can guard Jokic, but not that Embiid isn't up to guarding Jokic. He's probably one of the better options in the league for guarding Jokic. But he made the adjustment to let Tucker guard Jokic, not because Embiid can't do it, but because Embiid is so much more valuable as a help defender, as somebody who you can funnel Jokic to, who you can funnel all the driving players to, and Embiid can contribute that way. And that really helped their defense. And Tucker did, PJ Tucker did really PJ Tucker things. Yeah, he did a good job. He was playing scrappy.
He had a few steals on Jokic in the end of the game as well.
For sure. Tucker was fantastic. And Jokic wanted to make the right play every time, and he was, he's passing too much. He's got to take over and shoot the ball more than, you can't, in a game like that where Embiid's embracing the duel, you can't take 12 shots. You can't take 12 shots, and you certainly can't take 4 shots in the second half. You can't let that happen. Or was it 4 in the first half? Whatever. He didn't take enough shots. My point stands.
He took more in the first half than the second half.
Yeah. So you can't take. So it was at most it was 5 in the second half. You can't take 5 shots in the second half of that kind of game, even if clearly he was gassed from chasing Embiid around all these step backs and Embiid, putting his body into him and then dealing with PJ Tucker's scrappy ass just clawing at him the whole half. But you need more from Jokic in a game like that. And it's looking more possible than ever that could be the finals matchup. Philly is an uphill battle given how tough the East is, but I would love it. It would be so good for basketball to see those two teams in the finals. And
Most
that's what I'm.
toxic Twitter like
Oh,
environment
for
ever.
us especially, it would be so toxic. But I would love it, and I
Yeah.
really want it to happen. I want it so bad.
It would be an amazing finals with a really, really good storyline. But
Yeah,
we still have a lot of season left to go. So
for sure.
yeah, moving on from that game, we can go to the Nets versus Celtics. All that happened on Wednesday. Boston absolutely demolished them,
Did you
139.
guys watch this?
I didn't watch this game, but I saw the highlights.
Yeah,
I turned it
bad.
on. I was sitting at home watching. I'm like scrolling through basketball. I'm like, oh, Nets Celtics. I'll turn this on. Like 6 minutes in, it's 35-10. I'm like, what is
bad.
going on?
Yeah, Tatum had 31, 9 and 4. Brown had 26, 3 and 3. And both of them went 7 for 12 from 3. Brooklyn without KD had, really only Kyrie was their star player with 24 and 4 on 50% shooting, but he shot 1 for 7 from 3. Yeah, like Declan was saying, I guess I can let you talk again, but Boston just absolutely demolished this team.
Oh yeah, it was they made their first 9 threes in the first quarter, I believe, or was it 8? They made a lot of their threes in the first quarter.
That's insane.
It was 46-16 at the end of one. They were up 30. It was utterly dominant. That game was bad enough that Kyrie a few days later was like, I want to leave. Obviously it was more about money than it was about that game, but I like to believe that's what happened.
Mhm.
And funny enough, somebody mentioned this on TV today. They said Kyrie has a chance to dismantle Boston 3 times. He did it once when he was with the Cavs and they kept beating them. Once when he was with the Celtics, they ruined their roster and gave them fits. And now him requesting a trade leads back to more Jaylen Brown, Kevin Durant trade rumors, which is causing turmoil in the Celtics locker room. Kyrie Irving forever haunting the Celtics, but I don't think obviously I think the Jaylen Brown stuff's bullshit at this point. They cannot possibly be entertaining that given his age and him and Tatum. But point is, Boston's serious. They're very serious. The East is very serious, and I think as of now, you got to consider them, if not favorites, at least co-favorites in the East. And until proven otherwise, they're the team to beat out East because they came out last year and they've been playing lights out. Even they had a little bit of a rough patch, but they've kind of turned it back on and I expect them. I don't expect any deadline moves from them. I don't expect anything crazy. That roster is just really good and they'll be good moving forward.
Yeah, I think they just got their fit down pretty well in Boston. They went to the finals last year, and he's still in this game showed Tatum and Brown's just such an effective duo together, and just to hit your lights out, and it was done after the first quarter, like you said. 46 points is incredible. Even without Kevin Durant, which makes the Nets seriously hampered on the road. Nobody's really surprised at the Boston Celtics W, but really just making a statement on the league there with that
The
win.
W's not what's impressive. It's the sheer willpower they put on that team.
Yeah. In the final game we have highlighted here is Heat Bucks. Bucks win 123-115 and are now on an NBA best 7-game win streak, which takes over the Sixers. Milwaukee had Giannis, who had 35, 15, and 11 on 13 of 19 from the field and 9 of 16 from the line. Middleton off the bench since he just came back from an injury, 24, 7 and 4 on 9 of 14 shooting. Then for Miami, Jimmy Butler had 32, 8 and 3 on 11 of 21 shooting and 9 of 10 from the line. Tyler Hero had 24, 5 and 6 on 10 of 24 shooting, 2 of 8 from 3. And Bam had 16, 11 and 8 on 7 of 15. And then also just some other stats for Giannis here. He had 54 and 19 against the Clippers on Thursday in a 106-105 win. And then he also had 50, 13 and 4 on 20 of 26 shooting against the Pels last Sunday. So ever since he came back from that injury, we were kind of worried about him with his efficiency and everything, but he has absolutely just turned it on since he coming back from that injury. So good for the Bucks. Good for
this is Giannis's last 7 games. He's been on an absolute heater as of late.
I think you said it, Declan, on our first or second pod we kind of agreed on it. Giannis just didn't look the same. He was clearly had nagging injuries, and I part of that was him having to take over like more of the mantle, like without Chris Middleton, like for a large part of the year.
What do you mean? He
And
had all-star Drew Holiday by his side.
he did. He did have All-Star Drew Holiday by his side, who has helped him like at least like on the
Enough.
floor
He's been
sharing
solid.
the ball. But I think just him taking like those few games off has really like helped him. And
Oh yeah.
I think that criticism too might have helped him out because he's just on an absolute tear right
Yeah,
now.
I think he was hurting. He wasn't injured, but he was hurting and he needed to heal up for a few days. He took like a week or two off and then he came back and he's been nuts. He's been
Yeah,
absolutely insane.
and these are against like good teams too. Like some of them might not be like full like
54 on the Clippers. Like that is wild. I think the Clippers
yeah,
were resting some guys, but
yeah.
still.
19 rebounds. Like I
Yeah.
know they're missing some guys, but seems like he's going for at least like 35-ish a night. Every night.
Giannis is actually leading the league in rebounds per game this year, which is
Mhm.
a pretty interesting stat.
12.4 per game.
He we've commented on before how he did look like a little shaky to start the year, and the efficiency numbers are still down, but if he keeps playing like he's played these last couple of games off the injury, then he's definitely right back to the Giannis that we all know and respect as one of the best players in the league. So good to see him getting back to form.
The East
Yeah.
playoffs is going to be such a bloodbath, man. It's
His numbers. You look at this guy's numbers, dude, with his accomplishments. It's just like insane. The two-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, NBA
he's
champ.
Shaq.
MVP.
He's been Shaq,
Yeah.
you know.
And the past 2 years, he's averaging basically like 31 and 12 on the past two seasons combined. He is really probably the best player in the league right now, and obviously, like Jack just said, it's really good to have him playing like he usually has been. So very good for the Bucks. And then for the Heat, they've kind of been wishy-washy, here and there. They haven't really been like a serious like looking team for a long period of time. Jimmy's been great. He's having one of his best years. Bam's been really good. Hero's been okay. But like we were talking about
Lowry,
earlier,
yeah,
Lowry
Lowry's
has
been
just
nothing.
been awful.
He's a zero. He's a zero for that team. He doesn't give them anything.
And he was supposed to be a big like they were really happy and really excited when they got him last year?
Well,
And
yeah, before last season.
yeah.
They've had it for 2 years now.
Yeah, it's just not looking good anymore. They
Then
have to move, they should have to move on.
Miami's been having this weird pat. They got Jimmy Butler. They made the finals. Then they kind of fell off and were like the 6th seed. They were fine, but they got bumped in the first round. Then they went back to the Eastern Conference Finals. And now they're gonna, probably be bumped in the first round. They're like going every other year from serious to not very serious. Yeah, I don't think Miami has much of a. There's 5 teams in the East. Even still, I'll still give Brooklyn credit with they have Kevin Durant and they could rebuild this thing as the 5th, like tier 1 or 1B contender. But outside of Milwaukee, Boston, Philly, Cleveland, and Brooklyn, the Heat are in the next group after that, and
Yeah.
I don't think they can really do any damage come postseason.
If the postseason started right now, they'd be lined up against the Sixers. I just think the Sixers would beat that
That's
team in
4. That's 5 games if you're lucky.
5-6 games.
Yeah, they're definitely getting their revenge from last year for sure. Philly, if that comes up.
It just
At least
I just don't see them winning a series against Bucks, Celtics, Sixers, Nets, or maybe Nets now, but Cavs definitely not.
At least the Raptors didn't, or the Heat didn't give that much away to the Raptors in getting Lowry. Like
Yeah,
Goran Dragic and Precious Achua isn't really like kicking them in the ass.
game-changing players.
They didn't give many picks that's gonna haunt
They
them
do got
in the
30
long run.
million on their books for this year and next year that they're
Yeah,
not gonna be
that is
able
a problem. Like the contract.
Because like imagine
Yeah.
Miami if that 30 million could be going somewhere else. Like they could be
Well,
really good.
it actually kind of works that way because like they're way over the cap anyway, so they wouldn't really have anything. But like this time next year, you're definitely going to see because Miami's a bright front office. They're going to trade Lowry as an expiring deal. I don't think they say they're going to trade him now. I don't see it because you'd probably have to give up stuff for someone to take him. But come this time next year, somebody's going to be looking for cap flexibility, and they can give them kind of what the Lakers should be doing with Westbrook now is what the Miamis should be doing with Lowry a year from now.
Yeah, he might overstay his welcome a little bit, but we'll see.
Yeah, maybe in the off season too. You can
Yeah,
get him
in the
for a
off
little
season,
cheaper.
you can do it for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I guess we can move on from the NBA game recaps, finish up here with the Bird Rights Boys game picks of the week, and then we can go finish up with the Nick Miller fun fact of the week
Question of the day.
Yeah, the question of the day as well. So I guess I can start with the game of the week. My pick was the Mavs at Clippers on Wednesday at 10 p.m. This is slated to be Kyrie's first game suiting up for the Mavs, I believe, if everything goes right. So this will be a really exciting game, having Luka and Kyrie versus Paul George and Kawhi and the Clippers. Kyrie probably won't play a full starters like 30 plus minutes, but he'll get some serious playing time and it'll be really exciting to watch.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one as well. Really curious what they'll look like on the floor. And, for all Kyrie's antics and everything, he's always fun to watch. I love watching Kyrie play basketball. He's great to watch. My game is not because I think it'll be a great game. I think it's a Lakers game, shocking. But this is not because it's a Lakers game. My game is Lakers against Bucks in LA on Thursday. LeBron, in all likelihood, unless he has 36 points on Tuesday, will break the all-time scoring record in this game. Kareem will be in attendance of these next two Lakers games. And so it'll be, I'm sure LeBron's going to try and break the record on the sky hook.
I was going to say,
it's so
it's going to take
scripted.
like
It's
20
so
sky hooks this
scripted.
game.
If he doesn't break it on a sky hook, he'll break it on a la fuck you 3. And if he doesn't break it on a la fuck you 3, I don't
What
know
if
what
it's
the
on
fuck's
like a
gonna happen.
normal ass layup? Like
That
just
would
a-
suck. You can't do
like
that.
a
You got
normal,
to.
boring layup.
Dude, what if it's a free throw? That would suck.
I was gonna say, what if the free
Oh,
throw is just
that would
like
be the worst.
No, he's
No,
gonna
no,
miss the
Missed
free
the
throws
free
on
throw on
purpose.
purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could probably just shoot it regularly and it would work out in his favor. I mean, if
Oh
he's
my
shooting
God!
free throws.
He's shooting 77% this year, Stans. That's not bad.
I know.
it's a low blow.
I had to rip him, but it does feel so scripted, like Bucks at Lakers.
Well, it feels scripted. That's kind of because it is scripted. He skipped like 2 games in the last month. Like he was like, all right, I'm pacing to pass it while I'm on this road trip. I need to make sure that doesn't happen. I'm gonna skip this game right here. Also, he's 38 years old, so it's
Hold
like
on.
he's not gonna
So-
play back-to-backs.
How many points does this man need again? 36?
36.
Yeah. What if he has 35 on Tuesday and then plays the
You seen the meme where the guy won't
Giannis
won't
holds
shoot
him
the
to a
ball?
whole 0 points against the Bucks.
LeBron
Well,
goes
LeBron's-
under 10 points.
Yeah,
for the
LeBron
first
has been
time.
over 10 points for every game of the last like 1,200 games. And this is gonna be the first one where
Giannis
he
has
does.
the greatest defensive performance on a single player ever, and holds
Nah,
it to
nah,
40 points.
I hope LeBron hits like some crazy poster dunk or the fuck you 3, and this just does like the Marshawn Lynch to Kareem. That's what I'd be looking for.
No, they're gonna make it a whole moment. They'll stop the game. They'll do a whole bunch of stuff. They'll take the ball and they'll take it to wherever the Hall of Fame is. They'll do all that stuff. But
This
besides
game could be
the
stopped for like 15 minutes.
yeah, besides the record part of the game, it's always fun watching the Lakers play really good teams because the Lakers, as bad as they fucking are, they're not great. I'm gonna be honest, they're not great, but they're close. Their roster's close because they have 2 of the 10 best players in the world, and they play everybody super close, and it's always entertaining. Like that Celtics game last week was wildly entertaining. They played the Bucks and they beat them earlier this year. It was a wildly entertaining game. So I'm sure as much better the Bucks are than the Lakers, it'll be a fun game to watch, and the Lakers will lose by 3 after being up 10 with 7 minutes left. That's probably maybe the juice from the record will really get to them. Also, that's Thursday night, so we don't know what either of those teams. The Bucks have been rumored to make a move. The Lakers obviously have. So either of those teams could look a little different at that game post deadline. So that's my game of the week. We're all going to get to witness the scoring record be broken, which was set. The scoring record was set by Kareem. He broke Wilt's record exactly 9 months before LeBron was born. He was summoned that day. That's all I'm saying. He was created in the lab to beat Kareem's record. That's what happened. And excited to see a historic moment. The narratives are going to go crazy.
Wait, what you say is gonna go crazy?
I said the narratives are going to go crazy.
Oh, yeah, of course. Like I'm sure they set this season up, kind of like hoping that something like this would happen. But my game is before the Kyrie intro on Wednesday. I had 7:30 here on the East Coast. We have Philly at Boston. Arguably the two best teams in the Eastern Conference. I mean, I think there's definitely a good case to be made for them. I think.
They're 1 and 2 seeds, right?
Yeah,
One
like
and three, but basically. It's
yeah, I mean,
close.
if Philly can go into Boston and win here, Embiid's gonna be high. Everyone's gonna be hyped up, but Embiid's gonna be hyped up to win there in the TD Garden. I think it's just gonna be a great game.
Yeah.
And
the Sixers could also they beat the Celtics. They're a game and a half.
They're
back.
closing that 1 seed, right? They're
Yes, yeah.
closing.
Yeah, so it's a very close race for that 1 seed right now. This could be a huge game.
It'd be a
for
statement
playoffs.
win. That 1 seed's super important because whoever gets the 1 seed doesn't have to play both of Milwaukee and Philly or
Mhm.
Boston, Philly, or Milwaukee and Boston, whatever two. One of them only has to play one of them if they get to the conference finals. And not that Cleveland or Brooklyn is going to be like a slouch or anything, but that's clearly as good as much as I like Cleveland, as much as I like Brooklyn. That's clearly not the same as those 3 teams.
The gap at the top of the East is much smaller than the gap at the top of the West right now.
For sure.
The Nuggets are 4.5 games above the Grizzlies and then 7 games above the Kings.
Yeah, the West
So
is all
they
jumbled
seem
up.
to,
I
they
don't
seem
even
to
know
be
what to make of the
separating
West.
themselves, but besides the jumble in the middle. But then for the East, you got a few teams within a couple games of Celtics here.
Yeah. All right,
Do
Kobe, you got a game?
Yep. I was gonna say my game is
Wizards.
yeah, Wizards, Hornets. No,
must watch television.
Pistons, Rockets.
Yeah, Grizzlies, Celtics at 2 o'clock on ABC on
For
Sunday.
the red dot.
So it's going to be right before the Super Bowl. Actually, that'll be
Pregame.
interesting.
Interesting marketing, I
Pregame by
guess.
watching the 1 and the 2 seed in their respective conferences go head to head. That's probably one of the best matchups of the week, no doubt.
Yeah.
I'm firmly a Grizzlies hater. I don't like the Grizzlies. So,
John Morant fucking rolling up and
yeah, you
having
pull up
one of
with a
his
red dot. Like,
guards
what is this?
point a red dot at someone. It's insane.
They're
Yeah.
the Bengals of the NBA. I hate the Grizzlies.
It's insane. Steven Adams is the only player on that team that I
Oh,
actually
I love
like.
Steven Adams,
like-
but he's not playing
like-
right now, so I hate that.
I don't approve of the racial undertones here.
What do you mean?
All right.
John Morant and Joe
wait,
Burrow are
wait.
the same. There are no
Huh?
racial undertones. I said John Morant is Joe Burrow
Oh my gosh.
with a red dot.
Really let his Joe Shiesty out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't
Joe
stand
Alright,
it.
Burrow.
Let's finish this up here with a Nick Miller fun fact of the day.
Yeah. This was a
Do we
long
have
one.
it? Do we have
Yeah, we
it?
do. We do
A
have the
long
Nick Miller
one.
question of the day. All rights reserved, copyright, trademark, all those things. It was a long podcast, so good to get here. Stan's made it out alive after Basketball Reference tried to kill him. But
Oh yeah.
everyone
multiple
gets everyone get their notes page up. All right. Here's the trivia. Who was the first NBA player to be drafted #1 overall without playing any basketball in America in high school or college?
So he didn't play at all in America basically until he got drafted.
Nope.
times. And #1 pick.
So it's the first
Yep, #1
players
overall
to-
pick.
Okay. I'm taking my guess.
I need some time for this one.
This one's actually not easy. I mean, I'm not sure if I have it at all.
So I don't know this one.
I think I have it.
I think I have my pick.
All right. Is everyone
All
right.
locked in?
First.
Zach, you can go.
Go first. Yao Ming.
Okay, that's a good guess. I guessed, I don't, this might be wrong. I guessed Hakeem Olajuwon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I guessed Andrea Bargnani.
Dude, so did I. So did I.
No way. I hope
I
that's
was
right.
like, I feel
He-
so stupid because I know he went first overall, and there's definitely like somebody's gonna be earlier,
All right.
but
The answer is, it is Yao Ming. Zach got that right.
Wow.
That's
No,
my first
I think he
miss.
was picked. I think Yao was like the pick maybe the year before Bargnani, which is frustrating. But
When did Hakeem play in the United
let's see.
States?
I don't know. I thought I
Yao
had
Ming
it.
was 2002.
yeah, Bargnani
Hakeem played at
was-
University of Houston.
Okay.
Bargnani
Oh,
was 06 somehow, but he's already 21, like his rookie year.
Wow, what a yeah. We tried to go obscure and got
Yeah.
No, I opened Basketball Reference. I opened Basketball Reference. No.
All right.
Instead, it's like what year was Andrea Bargnani
All right.
drafted?
Yeah, no, I listened to Andrea
Stans,
Bargnani.
go back to Basketball Reference while we do the outro.
All right.
All right.
All
All right.
Give me a second. Give me a second. All right. Basketball Reference. Typing in some player. Drew Holiday. How long will it take? Let me
Oh,
scroll.
no, he's not spazzing.
Add-
All right. We fixed Stans' issue.
All right.
Other than that, guys,
Oh.
I think we're done for the day. Hopefully Stans fixes his computer and doesn't have any more spasms in the middle of the podcast. But that was it.
There
There
we
he goes.
go.
There he goes again.
I opened a second tab.
Peace out, everybody. We'll see you next time. We'll have a football podcast up this week, and we'll do another trade deadline recap after the trade deadline on Thursday. So we'll see you.
Bye.